Good morning. Today we're welcoming our ministerial candidate, Reverend Jude Geiger, and you'll have plenty and you'll have plenty of time to meet him during the week. There's going to be all kinds of programs that you'll see on the second page of your order of service. It's white, usually it's yellow, but it's white today. It has a list of all the different group things you can attend if you want to. So I welcome you to the service today. This is a congregation that was founded in 1947, and it's dedicated to the search for truth and meaning, the quest for justice in the world, and respect for all living things. Our services are quite varied throughout the academic year. You'll find that 2/3 of the services are presented by our minister, and the remaining services are arranged by our Sunday program committee. Today's service is given by our candidate, Reverend Jude Geiger. Next Sunday, after Reverend Jude's service, we'll have a congregational meeting in which we will hold a formal vote to formalize our intention to have him honor us with his service. If you're joining us for the first time, you know we're going to follow a pretty familiar format for most different religions, but they're all very different. So make sure you come to a lot of different services so you get used to how we function here. The announcements today are that God's going to meet at 1 o'clock today, and we need to call to your attention the fact that the deadline for the next beacon is tomorrow, April 15th at 9 a.m. Please send your material to the office. You know the office, I think. It's office@uufh.org before tomorrow morning. Thank you. We're all going to join together now and sing our affirmation.
Good morning, everyone. Come into this circle of caring. Come into this community of gentleness, of justice, of love. Come and you shall be refreshed. Let the healing power of this people penetrate you. Let loving kindness and joy pass through you, hope infuse you, and peace be the law of your heart. In this human circle, caring is a calling, and all of us are called. So please come into the circle of caring. I invite you all now to rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing our opening hymn, number 38, Morning Has Broken.
Good morning. My name is Anna Garfinkel, and I am 16 years old. There are not many places or situations on this earth where I'm completely comfortable. I'm naturally a very anxious person, jittery, stressed, a worrywart, you could say. On most days, I can barely answer my front door without experiencing some sort of inner calamity. I've grown accustomed to this particular personality trait, but still, I always crave a sense of comfort that grows increasingly hard to find. I consider myself forever lucky to have access to one. This building is easily one of my favorite places on earth. I was practically raised here, having attended for about a decade now. I remember when the time came that I was told that it is my choice to be here, no longer obligated to go according to parents. But by that point, I doubted I could ever possibly leave. I attribute it to the certain type of atmosphere that lives inside these walls, a sort of communal bond that I've seldom seen anywhere else. This fellowship is a physical embodiment of comfort, in all meanings of the word, in everything from the people down to the couches in the RE classrooms. Upon these grounds, I am judged not for what I am, but who I am inside. When I was 13, I took part in the Coming of Age program, and this fellowship transcended into the one and only place that holds the title of my spiritual home. Plus, I've climbed the rock out front. If that doesn't prove my love, I don't know what does. I more than enjoy the fellowship. I need it in my life. I crave a place where I can be myself and be proud of who I am, what I've done, and what I can do. A place where I can form unbreakable bonds with many friends of all different ages, mindsets, and beliefs. A place where I am free to grieve and rejoice equally, knowing that I have communal support for either. It is no surprise that I willingly get myself up every Sunday morning with a warm anticipation in my chest. For today is the day where I can forget about all the stresses and just focus on what makes me happy. And each time I walk in, I can breathe a little bit easier, knowing that I am home. Thank you.
I'm used to telling the story from up here with everybody remaining in their seats, but I hear that our children and maybe our youth come forward, but definitely our children come forward for the time for all ages. Everyone young at heart. Is the lavalier working in the back? Can you hear me? Yes? Oh, up here. Oh. Where do I go down there? I look that way? Okay. It's like a choir maestro. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Oh, flowers down. First casualty of the story. Our story this morning is about a rooster. There once was a farm that was practically perfect, except that it didn't have a rooster to wake everyone up in the morning. So the dog didn't wake up in time to grab the newspaper, and he didn't bring it to the farmer in time to wake up to milk the cows. And then the cows didn't get up in time to eat the grass when the dew was still on it and most tasty. So everyone was kind of grumpy over time. And this went on until one day a new family of chickens moved into the farm. And all the other animals got excited. One of the animals, the pig, came up to Miss Chicken and said, "Excuse me, Miss Chicken, would any of your 4 little kids happen to be a he?" And she said, "Well, yes, one of them is." "Okay, great." And he ran off. And the animals were excited. "Ooh, we're going to have a rooster." And time went on, but they didn't have a rooster yet because the chicks were young. And as time grew, the rooster grew up and he got bigger and he had a long tail feather and he had a big coxcomb over his head. But he was nervous. He wasn't happy. He didn't know how to crow like a rooster. And the other animals noticed that he was unhappy, and they came up and talked to him and said, "What's wrong?" "Well, I don't know how to crow, and I'm not going to be able to wake you all up, and then you're not going to like me." And they said, oh no, we'll like you, but maybe we can help you learn how to crow like a rooster. And he said, well, okay, if you can do that, sure. Well, Mrs. Duck came up and said, I've seen this before. All you have to do is lift your wings up, stick your butt up, and make the sound. What did the duck sound like? The rooster just shook his head. Oh no, that's not what I'm supposed to sound like. And the pig said, yeah, Mrs. Duck, that's really sweet of you, but I don't think that's the way it is. What you want to do is find the highest point. So he found a pile of manure, the pig, climbed up all the way to the top of it, and he reached up, kind of did a little snuffle to get some breath in, and what sound did he make? He had a little more energy than that. What sound did he make? And there were some snuffles, thank you. And the rooster put his head down and said, you know, I really appreciate it, folks, but that's not what I'm supposed to sound like. I'm not going to be able to do this. And the cat said, you know, if you don't wake us up in the morning, that's okay. I like sleeping in. And they went through all the other animals. The chickens, they made what kind of sound? And the lambs? And then finally the cat gave her best shot. It was a happy cat. We're lucky. There wasn't a hissing cat. That's good. You never know. And the rooster said, this is just not going to work, everyone. I'm never going to be able to make the sound I need to make. And you're not going to like me, and I'm not going to have any friends. And the pig said, you know, if you can't do this, it's okay. We'll still be your friend. You don't have to be able to do that for us to like you. But I'm not sure. Have you ever tried doing it yourself? I mean, you're more rooster than the rest of us. He said, well, no, I guess I haven't ever tried myself. And he got up to a high spot, stretched his tail feathers out, leaned forward, and made what sound? Would that wake you up in the morning? There once was a farm that was practically perfect in every way, and it happened to have a rooster, which meant the dog got up in time to get the newspaper for the farmer, who got up in time to milk the cows, which were up in time to be able to eat the grass with the dew on it when it's most tasty. So what was going on there, folks? Like, what did the rooster learn? Galen? How to make noise. Good. We need to learn how to make noise in life. That is important. Kathy? Catherine?
To not ask for help until you try it yourself.
To not ask for help till you try it yourself, right? Sometimes we know what we need to do ourselves, and we don't always have to rely on others. What was good about him reaching out to other people, though? Helping? So he realized he had friends in the community that might give him a hand. That's important. Ben? Learn not to give up on himself. And he learned he would have friends, even if he didn't know how to do what they needed him to know how to do. They gave him courage, right? Sometimes it takes a lot of bravery to make a silly noise in public, right? Thank you, everyone. And now you head out to your religious education classes, and we have a song, right? Can you all teach me the song?
My name is Jerry Farrell. The care we extend to each other here is a great strength of our fellowship family. We celebrate with each other our joys, support one another in times of sorrow. In this time set aside to acknowledge what is on your mind or in your heart this morning, let us make room for those unable to be here today. I don't have any specific joys and concerns today, but I just want to say it's my joy to see so many faces out there today, people I haven't seen in a long time, and I'm filled with joy for this special, special day that we welcome Reverend Jude. So let us hold in our hearts this community, those whose candles speak for them, those whose burdens are too much with them, and those in the world community who suffer in ways we can't imagine.
Please join with me now in a spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, God of many names and one transforming and abundant love, we pause this morning to take a breath before the great change that is before us. For the changes that are stunning, that are obvious, that bring us excitement and joy, and those that stagger us, that carry with them fear and trembling. We pause before those changes that come to us unbidden and unknown. In every moment, the world grows in new directions that are both clear and hazy. We recognize that our vision helps us only so far, that our expectations have but limited relevance, and that our dreams only frame what is possible. Gather this community together this hour. May every candle lit hold witness to our hopes and silences. Hold witness to the love that is before us and the stories that have brought us this far. Our community is beginning its next step along the path of ministry. May the walking be for gladness and possibility. May our ministry together be for healing and transformation. And may we have the strength to continue down this road together with a spirit of peace. I invite you now, with the sounding of this chime, into 2 minutes of silence. People may sneeze, babies may gurgle. It's not about the perfection of silence. It's about the intention of silence. Join with me now.
Okay. We're going to have sharing and support of the fellowship and the Burundi Microloan Project. You have your envelopes. I'm not really prepared for this. I didn't know I was doing this. It's for the recipients in Burundi in East Central Africa. A huge fire on January 27th in Burundi's capital completely destroyed the central market and the inventories of all the small market people they had previously funded. Together with other UUs, we have refunded about 60 of the 90 original microloan recipients. They await more help to get them back in business so they can provide for their families. Thank you.
I was sitting around a large banquet table up at the UUA headquarters this past week in Elliott and Pickett House, our denomination's bed and breakfasts. A group of 11 of us were meeting together for a few days on a council that deals with staffing and finances. Think health insurance, retirement, and hiring practices for UU congregations. We're going around the table introducing ourselves in the most boring way possible. Name, what group we represent, where we serve. After a few descriptions in, one member of the council jumps in and asks, "What's your favorite movie?" A blank look creeps on the person's face as they are immediately thrown out of their dry rote, and it shifts into the warmth of the person inside. We're out of our head and reliving a moment of joy, or depth, or humor, or silliness in some cases. Various answers: Lincoln, Chinatown, arsenic and old lace. I finally went with The Empire Strikes Back. Thank you. Terrifying to admit that in public, right? There are a few more odd looks around the table as everyone's faces went back to the memories of that movie. The cartoon thought bubbles popped over their heads. Well, that's sci-fi. That's not great theater. Well, not in the classic sense. One of the lead roles is a Muppet. And then faces started to slowly nod. The movie does stand the test of time. It does define a generation with its scope of wonder. Deep down, we all want the Force to be with us. So something you should know right now about me: I'm a big sci-fi fantasy geek. Our lives are so serious. There are so many challenges and struggles in the world. I take it all to heart and sometimes get very immersed in my work, in my ministry. Give me a Muppet with a lightsaber any day. Apparently I'm not the only one with that preference. The recently late, great Roger Ebert agrees with me. He writes, "The Empire Strikes Back is the best of the three Star Wars films and the most thought-provoking. After the space opera cheerfulness of the original film, this one plunges into darkness and even despair and surrenders more completely to the underlying mystery of the story. It is because of the emotion stirred in the Empire that the entire series takes on that mythic quality that resonates back to the first and forward to the third. This is the heart." Listen to Ebert. We can encounter the range of human emotions from cheerfulness and joy to darkness and despair until we eventually surrender to the mystery of the story. I have to wonder if he was trying to write a critique of the film or if he was secretly throwing in a working definition of the role of religion in our lives. As Unitarian Universalists, we're never going to agree on all things theological, right? Right, okay. Let's just get that out there right now. Especially if we try to think of theology in terms of beliefs to follow. That's not going to work for us easily or well. Our faith is more focused on our shared commitments and convictions. At its best, at our best, religion helps us to appreciate the times of joy when they come and make sense of the despair that will find its way into our lives from time to time, while knowing we're never truly left alone to deal with it. And the beauty of our faith, throughout all of our intellectualisms, all our critique, all our challenges, part of it recognizes that there's no one way to understand the world that's absolutely correct. Our neat rows on Sunday morning are filled with folks who each hold a different view from the next. We seek to reflect the breadth of human experience without placing it in a box, cataloged and pinned neatly. Follow Unitarian Universalism far enough down the road, and eventually it asks us, as Ebert described, to surrender more completely to the underlying mystery of the story, of our story. We point to a central awe at the heart of our lives, and we struggle to name it, as best and sometimes as worst as we can. Meditation or mindfulness can bring us there. A dedication to God can bring us there. Compassion, for the simple sake of compassion, can bring us there. what we call it, or what discipline we use, matters much less than the openness to a sense of wonder in our lives. Ebert's review went on to say, in the glory days of science fiction, critics wrote about the sense of wonder. That's what The Empire Strikes Back creates in us. Like a lot of traditional science fiction, it isn't psychologically complex. That's because the characters are not themselves, they're us. We are looking out through their eyes instead of into them, as we would in a more serious drama. We're on a quest, on a journey, on a mythological expedition. We're in a receptive state, like that of a child. Our eyes and ears are open, we're paying attention, and we are amazed. It's this sense that I try to keep in mind when we talk about some of our principles. Take the fourth, for example, where we covenant to affirm and promote the responsible search for truth and meaning. What does responsible search even mean? Intellectually honest? Kindness in our speech, especially when we disagree? Folks have buttons around them today, I think some of you, that ask, is it true? Is it kind? Is it helpful? That might be responsible. It also means we're open-minded. We're paying attention, that we allow ourselves to be amazed by life, a life that we did nothing of our own to come into. When we move to the center of our search, of our quest, back to a place of wonder and respect, it can feel a little humbling, right? I really have to marvel at how all this came out of a committee meeting, roundtable introduction. It's funny how the little insertion of humanity can turn the droll into something engaging. Yesterday, the younger kids had 10 minutes to ask me every question they could imagine that they wanted to know. And it ranged from, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite month? Your favorite place, animal? To, what's your favorite experience? My head went somewhere else. Everything else I was answering one way, and the other one, the smile comes on, and you center in wonder again. What and where gave us all the facts and details we needed for basic intros, but left us dry. We heard that with Anna also in her reflection this morning. The what's and where's don't matter as much as the who she is, the who we are here. Bringing us instead to questions of passion or preference or joy changed the nature of our meeting, and it changed the quality of our interactions. People I have worked with time and time again, people who I thought were otherwise nice, but I never made a real connection with them in this meeting, it finally clicked. By the end of the few days, we started sharing more and more of our lives together after the work hours were done. It's in this sense that I hope we can root our shared ministry together in the years to come. A wise teacher once told me, it's best to start as we mean to continue. That practice has saved me heartache time and time again in the work world and in my personal life. Whatever negative practices we start with will stay with us for the long haul. Well, I'd like to flip that. Let's start a good habit together. Let's be open to a sense of curiosity for our differing views. Let us craft spaces for people to feel at home here, as Anna talked about, whether they believe in God or they do not believe in God, or they aren't particularly moved one way or the other. Despite all our knowledge, mystery is at the very core of life. We don't really know. But the journey and how we handle ourselves on the road matters very deeply. Silencing one perspective is just as bad as silencing another. We are stronger for our diversity. It's part of why we'll continue to have moments like we had this morning with Anna, sharing stories, because we need to know one another's stories. I hope to have someone offer that every week I'm preaching in the years to come. The cover of our order of service has a quote from UU folk singer Pete Seeger. There's a river of my people, and its flow is swift and strong. He's an American icon, an American tradition all its own, and his music is so often about building a world of justice and equity. It matches well Huntington's own philanthropic commitments to peace, liberty, and justice. that pole that you walk by every time you come in the building that says that. That river is leading us to a world where the beloved community, so often spoken of by prophets like the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., is a reality. Our strength is, as a people, rests in the onward movement of our work together, even if we never see it in our lifetime. Even so, it matters that we keep moving toward it. The strength of that river doesn't rely on where the individual rivulets break away. The strength of the river relies on where all the rivulets come together. Building a world founded in compassion requires all of us working together with a shared purpose, centered in love and respect. That very practice is a spiritual discipline, one that is much easier to say than to do. If you don't think it's that hard, try to remember the last time you were running late and stuck on a very long line at the grocery store and someone was trying to pay with exact change and looking for that last penny. It's usually in my zen. I don't know about the rest of you. I'd like to take a lesson here from our religious education classes. Most of them have a practice that's incredibly helpful that our adults could benefit from following. They begin every year by building a covenant together. Anyone have committee meetings that start with a covenant new every year? One. Okay. Good. What committee is that? Transition team. Well done. They come up with promises they make to one another, not rules to follow, but practices to honor. They figure out as a group how to start in a way that they mean to continue. When one of us falls out of covenant, the class, the community, can kindly bring them back into right relationship. It's something that's a lot easier to do when the promises are hanging from the wall in magic marker. Somehow they're less threatening. Everyone knows what's expected. People aren't surprised by cultural secrets, not that we have any, or in-house cliques, or traditions that everyone else knows. It can seem like a small thing, but it's probably our most universal spiritual practice as a tradition, something that our children and youth tend to excel at better than the rest of us, and it's something we can learn from. This practice is at our heart. It's our core. We're not a creedal faith. There's no litmus test to define the right responses for factual questions of belief, rote or otherwise. In this religious home, there is room for searching. Rather, we are covenantal faith. We are defined by our relationships, by our commitments, by the promises we make with one another. Our principles themselves are all relational. Here's an example. Our third principle calls us to affirm and promote acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth. Our Time for All Ages was a whole story about the third principle, if you didn't pick that up. Now, I can't think of a more dangerous principle to live by. I tried to apply this back home with my parents. Forget about it. Encouragement to spiritual growth. I love my Italian Catholic mom. But if she tried to encourage me in her way, we might not be talking for a month, right? Anyone else there? Okay, only one. Wow, okay. Two. Anyone else? Anyone come? 3, 4, okay, great. It's sort of an exercise in the middle of the service. They'll come up from time to time. But that's the very discipline our religion tries to nurture and develop. We just need to center the practice in ground rules, in promises kept, in covenant, so that when we go too far or stall on the road, we have each other to hold us back or lift us up. And we're not surprised by the outreach. That part's important too. Your ministerial search committee gave me a beautiful glimpse into your congregation. Over and over again, I heard words like warm, caring, supportive. I will hold you all to that. I also heard that the fellowship has a strong commitment to the practice of shared ministry. In some ways, it means how the ordained clergy shares leadership with our lay members. It definitely means that. It also means this practice of covenant, the ways in which we care and work together as a community is how we best share our ministry with one another. I know Huntington's board is reflecting on the meeting of Covenant now, and I'm grateful they already have that on their plate. I imagine we'll have opportunities in the months ahead to reflect on this together, but I encourage committees to begin their years by creating a working covenant for each group if they haven't already. I'd be happy to help you in the fall if we get there on how to do that, and the transitions team apparently is experts as well. We can't hold our meetings and do our work. Just lost the lavalier. I'll put that down. We're experiencing a wardrobe malfunction right now. You know, when I do a lot of weddings, couples, that something's always going to go wrong. And it could always be worse. And what's really important is that when it goes wrong, you smile. Because everyone will laugh and smile. Don't go, because everyone will go, I know I went there already. We can hold our meetings and do our work focusing just on the what and where, something so common when we are busy studying for school or immersed in our careers or raising our kids. Or we can leave room to learn what our favorite movies are. We can craft space for our humanity to shine in between our tasks and our projects. The work we do here is always secondary to the people we are building deeper connections with. All the details will pass. All the facts will someday be forgotten. It will be the laughs and the tears that linger in our hearts. Always make room for them. Always make room for them. Our religion is about laughter and tears. It's about the heart at our center. It's about how we are in the world and how we strive to be. It seeks to ground us in the mystery that is our life. It teaches us that there is a path worth living and walking. There is ever a potential for hope in the unfolding of the human spirit. We are loved and maintain the possibility to love. Perfections and products are pale compensations for the forgetting of our connectedness in this awe-inspiring living world. I look forward to getting to know all of you in the weeks and hopefully years to come. There is a river of my people, and its flow is swift and strong. Amen, and blessed be. I invite you all now to sing in our closing hymn that's printed in your ordered service. Please rise in body or in spirit to sing 298, Wake Now My Senses. 298, Wake Now My Senses. who seek God, may God be with us. For those who embrace life, may life return our affections. For those who seek a right path, may a way be found, and the courage to take it, step by step. For this is the day we are given. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Amen.